Hello fellow space engineers, this is Marcelo from ACFM in Gaming, and today I'm going to do, let's say, a more theoretical video in which is going to be an update um, for my previous fleet videos. So if you want, you can go and check those before you watch this one. So I'm going to try to go over quickly so we don't take much time. But what I want to do here is show the upgrades that I've been doing to my fleet and the logic behind them. So first of all, I want to bring up two, let's say, general disclaimers about the fleet. The first one being is that after thorough testing, the test that we have done with our players, the test that I have done versus drones, I have decided to use hydrogen only as a booster under certain circumstances, because no matter how you build them, a ship that is a hybrid is going to end up having a lot of dead weight in a specific medium. For example, uh, in the void medium, the atmospheric engines are going to be uh, literally a drag. Well, not literally, but anyway, they're going to be a drag and also a high investment in survival mode. Also, there's the thing with thresholds, and remember that I always been saying that Space Engineers is a game in which you have to mind the thresholds, that if you cross them, then your ship ends up being more like a kind of like a museum piece or a display piece, in which it looks really great, but when it comes to performance, it doesn't perform the way it looks. So, what do I mean by this? Basically, like I was saying before, those heavy and let's say, well, somewhat costly atmospheric engines can become weak spots uh, in a space combat. So I want my ships to perform, let's say, great in a space combat, which is what they're designed for. And in my whole classification systems, ships that are going inside of planets are, let's say, akin to those amphibious ships in modern navies. So for that reason, I have decided to use hydrogen only as a booster and completely get rid of any kind of aspirations that I have of having ships, let's say, above maybe Corvette or Destroyer class, sorry, Corvette or Frigate class to go into an atmosphere. Now, that being said, this is not a diss on those ships in the workshop. Those that are designed from the ground up perform really, really well in that hybrid role. But if you put them head to head into a dedicated medium ship, they're not going to fare as well. So, okay, enough of that. So, the first main upgrade that have been done is I have, let's say, integrated my Corvette line. And this is the Nymph Corvette that many of my subscribers know from before, and also it's been in the workshop for quite a while. And what I decided to do is, being the smallest craft, I decided to turn the mission packages that the frigate and the destroyer class take as a module in their keel or their underbelly. I decided to turn them into a full bow, the bow of the ship. So this ship, let's say, it doesn't take modules per se, it takes different bows. And now, a main point that, let's say, influence this decision is the way they scale up as we go higher in class. For example, I decided that the smallest ship should have, let's say, a single slot or a more space, volume, and sorry, a resource-consuming slot for the modules. The next one is firepower. And regarding firepower, I decided to give this ship, sorry about that, we're having some throat issues. So I decided to give this ship, let's say, a very basic, mostly anti-fighter and anti-turret turret configuration. So we have 4 basic Gatling guns and 2 missile launchers on each side. Now, I know you can make ships in which you can, put rows and rows of turrets. And what I have said before, and again, I'm not just making this up, this is what has come out of the testing. Turrets in a Space Engineer, it's like, I think Seukonen calls them, they are antisocial. They really hate each other. If you put one next to another, they're gonna completely destroy them. Like at the first chance they have, they see an enemy, they go for the next turret. So that's why turrets need a full, let's say, hemisphere for a firing arc. As you can see here, this missile turret has an entire hemisphere from the ship to fire. And in the case of the Gatling turrets, you can be a little bit more forgiving. So let's say it has at least maybe 2/3 of a hemisphere, something like that. And it's not like you want to engage a ship sideways. Also remember that all my ships are designed to engage, let's say, offensively towards the front and defensively towards the sides. So if you're engaging something from the side, you have 2 Gatlings and 1 rocket turret, which is more than enough. So you don't want these two to crossfire or to try to hit the laser antenna there. So that's it for turrets. So if you decide to go for the attack nose, the attack bow, you're just gonna get 2 more Gatling turrets, keeping in line with that mentality that this is a corvette that is not meant to go against larger opponents alone. So moving on, we have the torpedo launcher and the gravity gun that we have been testing recently. So all of those can turn this corvette into a, let's say, mission dedicated craft. Now, as for the frigate size or the frigate class, what I have done regarding firepower is that I basically doubled that of the corvette. Now, the frigate, at least speaking in the, let's say, the universe that we're dealing with here with this game, has you can still justify having vanilla weapons. Now, I know this is just my opinion, and I know this opinion is shared by many of you. That doesn't mean that it's this blanket statement that has to be taken as a truth. And the weapons in Space Engineers are defensive weapons. I mean, I keep saying this, no matter how many you plaster your ship with, they're still going to be defensive weapons. And the reason behind that, or the reason for that, is that they lack the range, they lack the damage output, and they are not very resistant. Like Seukonen says, they're brittle. So you take 1-2 hits to them. A single rocket hit, if I'm not mistaken, can can put one of them out of commission. And if you have a self-repair welder, like here, you can extend that. Maybe take 2 hits, but then they're gone. So it's not like like this gigantic battleship turret that's gonna take um, a pummeling in the same way that the hull of the ship takes it. So they are less resistant than the ship they're mounted on. So they're not equal on the defensive aspect. So that's why I consider them defensive weapons. Also, they are really, very knife fighting weapons. So, but at least due to the role and to the size of the ship, you can justify a frigate having, this kind of configuration as, their main weapons. Now, the thing gets tricky when you go up in class, when you get to the destroyer class. And this is what I was talking about, the thresholds. On the destroyer, you have a ship that is intended to be more offensive. And here's the thing. I have designed this to be, and originally you know that I had it configured with OKI turrets. I'm having this as an experiment to see how it performs. But I think here between frigate and destroyer, this is the threshold that if you're serious about the role of a destroyer, you need to switch to either modded weapons or make like my friend Whiplash 141 has done with his Komodo destroyer, is that it's a completely a missile armed boat. It's a ship that, like ships nowadays, their offensive capabilities are based not all on guns or anything, but entirely on missiles. That is going to, let's say, completely determine the tactics that you use in your destroyer. And I guess even if I want to, with this whole design, turn it into a missile boat, um, let's say it wouldn't be a very wise decision because it already has like other utilities like the hangar, the landing pads, the the mission package module that can take more direct approach weapons like the gravity cannon. So let's say it's not the whole to be transformed into a missile boat. So that's why I'm experimenting with this. Now, as the scale up factor goes, and this is what I want to discuss here, we're seeing 2 rocket turrets, 4 rocket turrets, and 6 rocket turrets. So 2 for the corvette, 4 for the frigate, and 6 for the destroyer. And that's, let's say, a logical scale up as class goes, as role goes, as tonnage goes, etc. So I'm happy with that. What I'm kind of like considering right here is this. At this point, we have, regarding Gatling turrets, 4, 8, and 8. So these two share the same amount of Gatling turrets. Now, I'm considering removing these two, so the destroyer is going to have less Gatling turrets and leave those to the frigate. You can justify that by remembering that the frigate has more of an escort role, and let's say more, it could defend better against fighters. And the destroyer is more, oriented towards engaging larger ships. So that would be fine. And I'm trying to think, or like, trying to conceive a player-made turret here, or maybe a decoy launcher, or something like that, to replace a redundant Gatling turret for more like a feature kind of weapon. So, and I still wouldn't feel like I'm taking, something off the destroyer, like I'm somehow like tying up its arm behind its back, because I'm justifying it by, the role, which is more offense than defense. So for defense, we have the frigate. And like I said, that's kind of like doing some gymnastics when it comes to conceptualizing the fleet class and all that. So that's one of the, let's say, debates that I'm having at this point. And well, moving on, talking about the cruiser, and this is exactly where I cannot absolutely justify removing the modded weapons. Some of you even catalog the Ares as a battleship, or even, well, a battle cruiser or a battleship. I can see why you do that. Well, you cannot tell right now because of those new textures, but this is heavy armor. It is really resistant. The bulkhead configuration and the spaced armor, and also, let's say, the empty spaces that it has inside. Let me show you here. Like this one, that completely, well, you could think that these outer bulges here could be like ablative or sacrificial armor. And here at the waistline we have these that are called the citadels, which are like 2 mirror on each side, super heavy mounts, which have 2 welders for the big turrets. I mean, it's meant to take damage as well as it gives it. So it's along the lines of what you would think a battleship is. Now you can do that with the modded weapons, and I have to remember that these are the OKI weapons that Okim himself decided to, give out to the community so they could continue to upgrade the mod. And in this case, this particular mod is the one that my friend Seth has been updating. So in that regard, he has taken a great amount of time and, let's say, brain power to balance it out. So it's not going to be something like, I'm just gonna paste in this mod and I'm gonna give it like an insane amount of hit, um, you know, damage per hit, and I'm going to make the cannons have like pinpoint accuracy and extreme range. It's not gonna be like that. It's something that is thought out. So on that regard, I say that this mod, at least for our experience in our server, it works really, really well for the task that we have designed the ship for. so which is basically heavy defense and like let's say line ship engagements if we want to use a more classic term. So you cannot get that amount of firepower and you cannot get a ship with that role if you plaster it with rocket turrets. It becomes just a pummeling match, like uh, I don't know, slap fest. Like you have two big giant hunks of heavy armor like slapping each other with rockets, and as you know, rockets they don't do that much damage at all to heavy armor. They are really useful for peeling off vanilla turrets, but the damage output that you get from a rocket is gonna be, they're gonna be, it's not gonna be able to compete with, self-repair welders on a super heavy turret. And if you have, let's say, another ship acting in conjunction as a decoy, or if you have decoys, so it's gonna be basically a matter of time. So that's why I have this, let's say, internal debate right now. I have considered changing these for player turrets using Whiplash scripts, but at the same time those are brittle, and the way damage phases through, it will just phase through and destroy the rotor, and basically you just have an amazing turret that is no longer attached to your ship. So, and also those are armed with rocket launchers, and the rocket launchers have also that characteristic of being short range. So for this moment on, this effort that I'm taking of turn my fleet into mostly vanilla, or let's say eventually 100% vanilla, is gonna have to wait until Keen releases some other sort of weapon, and hopefully along with that a different kind of damage calculation. At this point we only have the splashy rocket damage and the direct Gatling damage, and I know we have been talking it over in the comment section of my videos, and I'm really grateful for that. You have been um, very welcoming for me, and also giving me a lot of insights and a lot of your opinions on basically player versus player. And I say that maybe a lot of people tend to see player versus player as too related to ganking and to griefing and all of those negative aspects of online gameplay. But I think if it's done correctly in a well thought out and balanced way, um, you can do it with your friends and have no emotional attachments and get pissed off because somebody destroyed your ship. I mean, we're still doing this to try out new designs and to learn from it. So I think that aspect of space engineers have been neglected. Well, maybe not neglected, but let's say unprioritized um, from Keen. So maybe we can bring this app to their attention and see how many other different damage types can we have, like actual armor piercing stuff. Maybe that energy weapons mod that came out a while back. And I have to say that, I mean, it's as much as it pains me, maybe even the whole shield thing, which I'm being kind of like a hardcore sci-fi snob. I really don't like the idea, but I do accept that they bring a new depth and a new mechanic and let's say different dynamics to the way you play the game, and that's a positive thing. So, well, that's it. It was just basically me speaking my mind about fleets and roles of ships and all that. So, your opinions are welcome. Have fun and keep playing.